Welcome everyone to this, the Debate Society's first podcast. So, I am Arvin, and we have some other podcasters with us today. So, if you could just introduce yourselves.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Tarini, I'm from MBBS Stage 1.
Hi, I'm Shafiq, I'm from Foundation.
I'm Yahya, I'm from MBBS Stage 1.
I'm CK, I'm from BMS Stage 1.
And I'm Hari from BMS Stage 2. Pleasure to be here.
Okay, so we've got all our participants here today, and today's topic for our podcast is cyberbullying. So, just to start off, has anyone here actually experienced cyberbullying yourselves?
I wouldn't say I've experienced cyberbullying, but I think everyone here, in one way or another, we've seen mean comments about ourselves on social media or internet, I think I speak for everyone here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Social media is ruthless. Have you gone to Reddit? They see the kind of memes they make.
Come on, Instagram. A lot of comments. When girls, they post their selfies and then you get those mean comments. And it's devastating, You just want to be yourself, and then, some people are just, they're not happy with what you're presenting. But that's the point of social media. It's to express yourself.
I guess in that certain sense, when it comes to expressing yourself, it's very hard to moderate cyberbullying in that specific sense, because sometimes it could either be a person speaking out on their own personal opinions, but then there's always a fine line that you have to draw when it's either borderline, like, hate speech, or, targeting attacks based on the person as opposed to their beliefs or the stuff that they stand for. So, yeah.
This problem, I think, is because our opinions, we cannot let all of the people like, right? So some will have disagreement, some will be agreement. Then those who disagree, I don't think they should use like this harsh word to express them. Maybe they want to give them their correction or what, they should just say it out personally, or don't just say in front of other people. So this one will hurt the person, and also it's not a good thing for others to see also.
Oh man, in the internet it's very hard to not have haters. You'll always have a hater on the internet. That's the thing. How they say, in 2019, you have to be very careful. You'll offend literally anyone just by putting a simple post up.
That's very true. You can't put something
you
out.
See the memes on those as well.
Yeah, exactly.
There's that laser trying not to offend anyone.
Yeah.
And what more controversial issues, right? Let's say you want to represent maybe the LGBT community or something mental health related. Those issues that are really heavy topics, you want to discuss them. You want to bring them to light, because what's a better platform than social media? You can reach a large audience, but sometimes when you post about these issues through social media, it can offend a certain group of people depending on the demographics. That's sad. Sometimes when people aren't so open-minded.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys all said, but I feel like the reason why this all happens is because of how we are able to voice out and yet remain invisible in the internet. So we can say a lot of things, and it's hard to trace people. You can give a fake name, you can be anonymous. I mean, that's why people use the internet to say harsh and mean things about others, because of how they can still stay hidden.
Would you say the severity of consequences, in terms of bullying someone online, is, let's say, higher or more severe than actually bullying someone face-to-face in that context?
If you ask me, I think it depends on how the person takes it. I mean, it comes back to the how the person thinks and how they choose whether they want to be affected by that or not. Definitely, if a person is coming straight in front of you and saying those mean things, it would impact you differently. But I wouldn't say that it's more severe if they say it straight to you or if they say it via the internet. It depends on how the person takes it.
Because on the internet, it stays there unless the person doesn't remove it. When something happens in real life, it's just in the moment, and only the people who are there will see it. But the thing is, if it's on social media, everyone who wasn't there can see it as well, and it stays there.
Yeah, and the thing with reposting and stuff, anything you put on the internet is going to be there for the rest of your life. It's not going to go anywhere.
But if you think about it, right, sometimes the cyberbullying, it doesn't just stop at mean comments. It can also mean distributing pictures. Let's say this one instance I came across. So this girl, I think it was 2 years ago, or was it last year? She was this one Dewi Remaja finalist, and she posted something on her private Insta story, which it can only be accessed by her friend group, but her friend chose to spread it, and because of that, her title, her Dewi Remaja, she was supposed to win it,
It
it got
pulled
taken
back,
out. Yeah, it got
Yeah.
pulled back. So there's more consequences than just mean comments and how a person takes it, because to a certain extent it can affect them more in terms of the job, in terms of what they want to achieve.
So in that context, would you say that cyberbullying and cancel culture are like very, very close to each other? For example, like if you brought up the fact that she didn't get the what were we saying?
The Dewi Remaja.
Devi Remaja award, right?
Yeah, the award.
In some sense, you could also say that, like the Kevin Hart story, where he was supposed to host the Oscars and everything, and then a group of people specifically were trying to dredge up past histories of him, of his prior text, and they brought up a homophobic tweet that was of course taken out of context, and they used it against him. And as he tried to stand by his own morals and say that people are allowed to change, and he wasn't willing to apologize for tweets that he made 10 years ago, he in essence faced a lot of backlash, and he had to step down from his dream of hosting the Oscars. It was the Oscars, right?
Not sure, but I do know a similar example. Peter Gunn.
Yes.
He directed the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, you mean James Gunn?
James Gunn.
There you
Sorry.
go.
So even he faced a similar situation. So Disney had to stop him from directing the GOTG Volume 3. And then because of everyone's support, and the actors also said that, people can change, and that was from many years ago.
It's a very delicate line that you have to walk when it comes to who you share things with on the internet and who you trust, because sometimes, like you said, small circle of friends that you're really close with, even if your private account, stuff like that can really get out into the open, and once it's there, it's really there and it's cemented there. So it's hard to say really, like whether or not the fault lies in the person like in this case, whether or not the fault lies in the person who posted those tweets, knowing full well the repercussions, or the person who is actively taking the time out of their day to search out for these tweets and search out for these things that can easily ruin stuff that they've been working hard to achieve.
Sometimes it's not even that. You're just casually browsing the internet, and you always see something related to something that you might be like holding something important to it, and someone just insulting it. Like it happens to me as well. You just see something and they'll be hating on something personal about you. That's true.
I mean, sometimes you notice, right? Bullying in general involves something personal, but like cyberbullying is like taking personal issues on the internet for everyone to see it. There's always something personal involved. Sometimes, if you notice celebrities, Korean celebrities, sometimes I follow them, right? So, yeah, I follow them on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'll admit it, okay. And then you see those who got divorced or everything, and then the Korean society, like they start posting hate comments on each of their Instagram profile until like their management company have to speak on behalf of them. So that's like a personal issue brought forward to the internet. So we can see that it's always bullying in general, even cyberbullying, it's always something personal that's brought to the internet. So maybe just a suggestion to just reduce these instances. Maybe people could be less personal about what they want to share. It could be less personal about it.
And also last time I saw a paragraph saying that because cyberbullying is like words, right? We use words to hurt others. And also last time I saw this sentence is saying that when you use word to hurt others, right, the scar is always there. But if you like hit others or something like that, the scar, when you recover, then it's gone. But for words, it's always there, the scar. You cannot heal it also because it's invisible.
Question, right, regarding that actually. The older generation likes to say that the cyberbullying is a very generational problem. Our particular generation, they like to refer to us as the strawberry generation because we easily get bruised in their eyes. And like in that, it's also, it always baffled me why strawberries particularly, because pretty much any other fruit also gets bruised.
Mangoes, right? Why not mangoes?
Yeah, exactly. Why not mangoes? Yeah. So, is it really our generational thing, or is it because as generations move along, we become more sensitive and aware of topics like this, like more aware of like mental health and issues that we all like, that we're more aware of each other as opposed to. I'm sure back in because my dad used to tell stories about how he was in boarding school, and there was always like this hierarchical system, and there was always the seniors would always bully the juniors, the seniors would always bully the juniors, and it repeated itself over and over and over again, and it was just something that they put up with. But then I was always scared to go into boarding school, like somewhere different, because I was always like, oh man, what if my seniors are going to be very mean to me? But right now we're sitting in an open and civil forum and we're discussing about our different opinions in a light-hearted way. And I guess it's because more of us have become aware, so to speak, and we don't disconnect ourselves from each other anymore. We look at each person as an individual person with their own ideals. And I guess
we respect one another.
Yeah, and we don't try to put labels on one another. We don't try to force that respect.
But I think, just to add on, I sometimes do feel that our generation, we've become a bit more sensitive. Everything people say, we tend to take it too much to heart. It's sometimes really hard to, even say your opinions to others. Nowadays people tend to be like, oh, you don't judge me, man. Say stuff like that. They can say that, oh, I'm really affected by your comments. So what I'm trying to say is that I do feel that people have become a bit more sensitive now as compared to people from the older generations. What do you guys think?
There's always pros and cons. People nowadays, when they become more sensitive, they become more aware of what's actually going on. I feel like our generation is actually handling tougher mental challenges compared to the previous generation. Each generation had their challenges. Maybe the older generation, like during our grandparents, they had more physical challenges. They had physical battles to fight, those kind of World War things. But then
the
labor, yeah. But then our generation, it's more of the Industrial Revolution 4.0, the competition for jobs, and everything's online, everything's digitalized. And when we compete based on our intellectual abilities. Because we compete based on intellectual abilities, people have become more aware of certain things. Like, because you become aware, things like the revolution, like studies for black people, those kind of voting rights, those kind of feminist ideas, like they get to be brought up.
So you're saying that because of all of these challenges we face now, people have become more fragile and sensitive, and that's how they are more affected by what people say.
I feel like they've become more attuned to what people are facing.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Open to the floor.
For me, it's like, I think like older generations, they didn't have the internet. For us, so they weren't exposed to like a lot of trash talk. Like if you say, because in real life people can't always trash talk. People easily trash talk online, right? Because you can say something to a person like online, but then you can't say the same thing in person. Like if you think about it, older generations didn't have that. We have that. Every day you open your phone, you can see trash talk.
Yeah, I think people become more sensitive is because we are more exposed to social media, and then everyone can see it. So, and also one thing that we want to improve ourselves. That's why we take a lot of different opinion, different views of other. We want to make the best version of ourselves. That's why we can become more sensitive.
But the thing is, right, like being the best version of yourself in that context, like everyone who makes a social media account or anything online, they're more so representing a brand more so than an individual, because they're very careful of what they put online. They're very careful of the person that they try to show, because we don't try to show the worst sides of ourselves. We try to show the best sides of ourselves and hope that people can understand and accept and be supportive. So I guess in some sense,
for most people,
yeah. So in some sense, if someone tears down the best aspect that you think you've crafted, you sort of take it slightly to heart, because if you can't accept this person, how are you going to see the real person with the flaws and the difficulties and all the trouble? But I do agree that in some sense we've become a little bit more sensitive to certain topics in both a good way and a bad way. We get easily offended is one thing.
Political correctness.
Yeah, it's a very fine line to walk, and it gets really, really tedious sometimes to know which side you're supposed to be on.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that sometimes it gets quite ridiculous when it comes to political correctness. Yeah. But sometimes you understand, there's a point, and you accept that it's a valid point. So we've discussed a lot of this, so sort of moving on. I'm going to give you this idea, okay? When you post something online, you know that people can comment. You know that people can give you bad comments, that people can hate it, people can dislike it, disagree. You know all of this. So when you post, you are making a conscious decision. Even though, it's free speech, right? Everyone can say what they want. So when you do it and you get cyberbullied, is it your fault? What do you think?
But that doesn't mean that you can't just like stop posting whatsoever, right? I mean, you have a life, you have your social media life. You need to post. Everyone has their own thing, man. So, I mean, you're just doing your thing, and then someone just comes out of nowhere unnecessarily, just for no reason. I know.
I mean, in that, if you follow that sort of ideal, it's almost in that sense of victim blaming. For example, you can't. I mean, it's a very fine word to use, but you can't expect someone to say, today I want to go to the grocery store and I want to buy eggs. And for example, like a country that has gun laws, like for example America. and then suddenly he gets mugged, and then you say, oh, it's his fault, he should have been more careful of the situation. If he had known that there was a chance for him to go out there and get, mugged in that process, then yeah,
I mean, if you can say that, sometimes it can be, similar to the rape issue. It's like girls and, their bodily autonomy, and they can dress up however they want, and then when someone rapes them, it's their fault because they dress up that way. I mean, if you put that scenario and you compare it to what you said. So there's always boundaries when it comes to certain things, right?
I think we can't control what people would say on social media, but we can definitely pick and choose our friends who we choose to share the information with. It's partly our fault if we are not too careful when we choose our friends and who we choose to share that information with. Yeah, I mean, you can look at the situation in a lot of ways, Yeah, people should be sensitive, people should be considerate about others, but it's also, our fault. But we can decide what people should see and what people should not see.
That's the boundary we're setting when we're choosing our friends.
Yeah, I agree with Harry, is that because there are a lot of good and bad comments, so the good one we just take it, and also the bad one we just process it and then change it to a good way so that we can improve. And also, if we can help those who get cyberbullied, like when we see comments under that, why not we put a good comments to change the way that he thinks, so everything will become good comments already in this case.
I guess, but then like with people, we more often than not we tend to look at the negative side of things. It's a very human thing to like have a very good day and then have one particular moment ruin the day. But then, even though it's just one moment, you spend the rest of the day moping around, and it's a very human thing to pick and choose. We always like to pick and choose the information we see. We can see 10 good comments and then one negative comment, and only focus on the negative comment.
Yeah, it depends on your psychology. If you want to focus on the negative, then it's up to you.
That's true. Yeah,
but you can choose whether you want to be affected by it.
Yeah.
So it's a choice to be cyberbullied then in that case.
But I will add this. Human nature in a certain sense does work in a way. If you see something good, right, you don't always like it.
Yeah.
You don't always leave a positive comment. But if you see something you don't like, you will leave a comment and you will dislike it.
That's true, yeah.
Have you realized that?
Yeah. Like, for example, when you go to a restaurant, right, if you think the environment is very good, the food is very good, maybe you just keep quiet, keep it to yourself, and then you share it to your friends. That's all. But if in that restaurant you got the bad service, and then straight away you go to the manager and complain to it.
It's true, yes.
It's very true.
Yeah.
But then it can't always be our fault. Like if you take this scenario, like there's someone in person. Okay, they don't even come online, but then someone just doesn't like, maybe they're doing something good, maybe they're academically well, they're good in sports, maybe anything, and someone doesn't like it, so they might do something online and just bad name them online for no reason, and then the person can come to know about it later, and then they're affected by it.
That's very true. So sort of like going from that point, that strand, which is a very good strand, I think you've all heard, it's not recent actually, you know that kid who posted this poll on Instagram saying whether she should commit suicide or not?
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
That's messed up.
That's just, no offense, but it's just a bit dumb, man.
Okay, my personal take on it is like, there are certain people that I follow that sometimes they like to vent their frustrations out on Instagram. It always baffles me because 1 minute they're fine and then the next minute they're not. And I always wonder whether or not they go onto Instagram because I don't want to say that they're crying out for attention, because that's the last thing I want to say. It's just, it always baffles me as to why you would project your personal problems onto a platform with so many people who would probably just scroll through and not care. And as the case for the poll, I think the majority of people that said that she should kill herself was done so in a joking manner, because in our generation it's a very nihilistic thing to say. At the smallest inconvenience will be like, man, I really want to die today, that kind of thing. So it's a lot of, our humor is very dark.
Yeah.
This generation's humor is very, very
I
dark.
agree with that.
I don't want to say it's her fault. It's definitely not her fault.
No.
But the fact that they wanted to jail those who said yes to the poll, I thought that was quite stupid, because you don't know the intention behind it. The intention is the most important part.
Well, I think that I don't say much about the intention, but when someone's already on social media and asking about whether they should commit suicide or not, one aspect you can think about is the mental health issue. Sometimes you can do things when you're having this mental health issue yourself. You can do things out of your control, or like you're not in your sane mind when you do those kind of things, right? There can be like mood swings. So if you talk in terms of the person who posted it, maybe they weren't in the right frame of mind. Maybe they didn't have someone by their side to just sort of stop them, like, hey, why are you doing this? Maybe them crying for attention maybe that's the only way they can get their attention compared to the people around them, because there are no physically there's no people around them, I would say. Because if you notice, like, some of the, because I follow Korean celebrities, some of them, when they committed suicide, they were alone in a flat, no loved ones by their side. So, and their only means of reaching out is probably social media, their phone.
See, just to add on something, see, that I feel like that is sort of the problem, you see, we think now that, if I have a problem, I have to I have to go into social media, I have to talk to people on social media. I feel that we have to come back to reality.
Yeah.
If you need help, go and meet someone. I feel that people should, we sort of give too much importance to social media. We think that, if I need help, I'll just log into my Instagram and make a poll. We'll see how it goes. No, that's not the point of social media. Social media was made so that we could get in contact with people who are far away, to post fun photos.
Get more friends.
Get access to information from all around the world.
Yeah.
You learn new things, learn a new language, learn a new skill.
That's the internet, to be honest. That's not really
Instagram nowadays have a lot of
then,
things. Yeah.
if you think about it, like going back to what you said, like, why do we have to share our stuff online? Like, number one thing is, if you want to go see someone in person, like, there's like a stigma. You're scared to share your problems with someone in real life, and it's easier to tell it online. Like, it's not that embarrassing. Like, you have to sit face to face with some random old psychologist you don't even know, and you have to tell him about your depression and anxiety issues. Like, it's not that convenient.
No, like, that means that we are now confused. We don't know how to differentiate between friends and online friends.
So reality has been blurred in that sense.
Yeah.
But there's another point I should make. Like, we're lucky actually, we're in med school, and that mental health issues is addressed here. You can reach out to anyone. What about certain societies where mental health issues are a taboo?
So the only way to reach out is
social
So what do you say
online.
about those societies?
Fair point, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just a slight detract, right? I was reading an article the other day, and apparently, in terms of statistics wise, Malaysia is, I think, the 6th worst case of cyberbullying as opposed to like all the other countries. I can't remember what number one was, but I know that Malaysia is apparently number 6 or 7. So what do you think our particular country is quite high up on that list in terms of everything?
I mean, because I follow Korean celebrities, I know South Korea is pretty high.
Yeah.
There was this, what's her name? Su Ling.
Ling.
Yeah. A few days ago.
Yeah, that was quite sad though. So in terms of like Malaysia cyberbullying culture, we have a culture about it, guys.
I thought you guys were nice, man.
Yeah, he has just shocked right now. No, Malaysians are not nice. But okay, so what do you guys think about that? Malaysia's online or social media culture?
So I feel like Malaysia itself, right, it's divided to many fractions. We are in a circle where people are aware of many issues, mental health issues, LGBT, we're exposed to the internet, we're exposed to what happens all around the world. But then there's certain parts of Malaysia, like,
people just don't know any of that.
It's like they don't know. They themselves choose to isolate themselves as far away from that problem as possible.
Yeah, there's like different social bubbles in different parts of Malaysia itself. Meaning, like me, I'm a student from UMed, and maybe another person who's studying in a university in Kelantan, we can have two different mentalities. Totally two different mentalities. So maybe I wouldn't post my personal issues on social media, but they might. Maybe for certain reasons, like, let's say I'm staying in Kelantan and the people around me, they don't accept me for having mental health issues. They keep saying that I'm going against God if I feel like I want to kill myself or something.
And they might feel that, the comments you post, even though it doesn't seem like you're, making a negative comment, they might take it in a wrong way. Would you say that? Like, because there are so many different social bubbles, sometimes people take things in perhaps the wrong way.
They look at different aspects, like maybe I might we all can say the same thing, like maybe I like what you're wearing, but then one person may take it as, okay, you're complimenting, another person might take it as, you're flirting with me. Something like that.
That's true.
I think our society has a very, not our society, I think a large
society.
A large population of Malaysians really can't be happy at anything. They always have to find a negative downside of it. Because I follow World Buzz News because that's how I get my news report, at least for this particular country. And then whenever I see like us doing particularly well in some particular sport, like gymnastics or everything, right? The first thing I'll do is check comments, is because I want to see, feel a matter of national pride and see, my people uniting together just to support someone who's, representing the country. But the first top comment that you'll always see is about them shaming the girl for what she's wearing, as if that's the clear problem there.
I don't know if you guys heard of this. There was this one Malaysian guy. He was Muslim. So I think it was in the UK. He got married to a European guy. So he was, in this sense, homosexual. And then he posted, he was wearing traditional Malay attire during the wedding, and he posted this on, I forgot, Facebook or Instagram. And the comments were really, really bad. Some people were saying he should be brought back and jailed or
because
punished.
He reached Malay society.
Yeah. What do you guys think about that?
Oh wow.
No comment.
I am out. Okay.
I think at the end of the day, you should not look at a person based on their sexuality. That you should always see a person first, then their sexuality second, because there's a very clear difference. Because what they do in their personal lives, it's it has nothing to do with you. And they're promoting their culture in the best way they know how. So why should they be faulted for being proud of their own culture and wanting to represent themselves in their best light possible and wanting to represent their country in the best light possible? Because we have, in the global eyes of everyone else, we're seen as a very backward society, a society that doesn't favor everyone equally. That looks at sexuality as a very niche thing.
Okay. So, any other comments on this?
I think because this doesn't happen in Malaysia often, so we see we don't accept that. We have to see different country, they have different things, different culture also. So if the same thing posted in the other Western country, there won't be so much bad comments about that. But for us, because it's different, we don't have such thing happen quite often, so that's why we disagree with that, and then with that we got a lot of bad comments.
Actually, thinking about it, cyberbullying is society dependent. Malaysian society, maybe what they're subjected to is, let's say, the example you give just now, the homosexual, personal issues like marriage, breakdown, mental health, these kind of things get backlash in the Malaysian society. But what about the European countries? Maybe for them it's posting nudes, even they're fine with that.
I think Western society issues tend to be more oriented around political correctness.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of, I think, high profile cases where they dredged up old comments of presidents or TV stars and stuff, and sort of caused them to lose their jobs, etc.
Adding on to that, adding on to the previous thing, that is cyberbullying really our fault or not? Imagine something you, back in 2010, you were a little kid and you posted a weird profile picture, and then years later someone digs it up, or you posted a really bad picture when you were young. Someone digs it up years later and used that to public on cyberbully you. Is that really your fault? You were a kid, you didn't know what you were doing, right?
Yeah,
that's very true. And
people change over time. You were immature, you mature, and you become a different person, right?
So following from that strand, from all the high profile cyberbullying, what do you think about cyberbullying of politicians?
They got into politics. It's not an easy.
In that
case, you're saying it's only forgivable crime.
Even if it's not cyberbullying in real life, they will face shit. It's politics, man.
It's true.
Politics is rough.
Yeah.
Especially,
I think when you come into politics, right?
You have to be prepared.
Yeah, you have to be prepared to hear some bad,
we all
nasty
know
comments.
Memes, jokes. This kind of stuff happens.
Yeah.
This one have to do with the governments and stuff, right? So, bully is already a wrong thing. Then somehow, if you say in terms of politics, that would be worse. Then,
some people look at it as they post stuff on social media, they post comments. They would say that it's their version of freedom of speech. So with these social medias, they are actually able to voice out directly or indirectly to these people, because that's the only way they can do it.
So even if you want freedom of speech, you disagree with something, why do you have to do it in a mean way? You can do it in a more, how they teach us feedback in New Men?
Constructive criticism.
Constructive criticism is one thing, right? But I think politicians in this case, they're more willing to see something or hear something if it's really something negative about them, because that's the first thing they'll notice.
I guess you could say that, man.
Because they have to target certain societies, they have to get their votes.
True. all things is complicated
Yeah.
as usual.
Yeah.
So moving from the big stuff to the small stuff. I think we touched on it a little just now. I forgot who mentioned it just now. Like, say this person is really good in school, and then people like sort of trash him online and stuff, and they do it anonymously.
Yeah.
NewMed had an instance of this.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Seriously.
It was.
When was it?
It was called Educational Confessions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
It happened in NewMed. So I don't know if you guys know or do not know about this. What do you guys think?
Honestly, right?
Maybe we shouldn't touch that topic because
No.
we are in.
I would say that I feel that people are just, those people who made those comments, they're just jobless. No, like, come on, we are all students, we are doing, we do so many things, we have so much to study and all. Why can't you just let people,
Focus.
Just focus on what you have to do, and you may have problems with people, but if you do, just, confront that person. What's the point of posting stuff online and, making a fool out of yourself and of that person?
I can't particularly speak out on this incident because it's been a month since I come here, so I'm still learning. Still learning the ropes and everything. But I had a confessions page back in my school as well, and it was
How was it?
oh man, it was not fun at all.
Were you handling the page?
No, of course I wasn't handling the page. No. I was just a bystander. Because majority of the time people would use it to complain about teachers and people they didn't like. But there was never like any targeted stuff out towards someone. So I guess in some sense it was managed to some slight degree. There wasn't a lot of hate speech going on there. It was mostly just about people talking about their day. But I remember one particular comment. No, it wasn't one particular post. It almost seemed like a cry for help in the sense of the person said that everyone in this school is fake. Everyone here, is fake. Like they only care about themselves. Very superficial. Like no one wants to talk to me in that case. Or it's like it was really heavy.
Kind of sounds like Joker.
Yeah, no, it was like this was like way back before everything. And I was concerned then because I didn't know. Number one, I couldn't figure out who the student was.
Yeah.
I had a few suspicions, but I couldn't randomly approach someone and say, "Were you the one that posted this?" And so it's hard when you have that. And
anonymous.
Coming to think of it, right, people who post their frustrations, if they want their frustrations to be addressed, why do they remain anonymous?
No, that's what I mean, Like if you have a problem with someone or you want to raise an issue, do it the right way. Meet that person, tell it straight to them. By posting stuff online, in this context, it's not going to help change anything. Yeah, you're just wasting your energy.
Yeah.
Right. So, we've all touched on cyberbullying. So, what do you guys think should be done about this? Do we just be careful on our own, or do we actually set down policies so that people can't trash talk online, or we do both? What do you guys think?
I think both, because first we have to be aware of we have to be prepared, like, I don't know, just now who mentioned, be prepared of the bad comments also. First is be prepared, and then second will be get help from others as well.
But then what about someone who didn't even post anything? Like I said, someone just picking on someone in person. That person may not even have social media. What do you think we should do to stop cyberbullying in general? What's the solution?
I think in one way it's a question of changing the culture. So in terms of spreading awareness, we do the mental health week here at NewMed, right?
Yeah.
Maybe do a little bit on cyberbullying as well.
What about moderation online?
Yes, it is necessary. Like it or not, as much as free speech is important, you need check and balance. If not, it's going to be difficult. I think we can draw the line at politicians, but for the rest of the population, yes.
Of course, at a large scale society, it's a heavier workload, and especially different societies have different things they are against. So of course you have to target very society dependent targets. Well, it's doable since we've came so far. There's many efforts on feminism, the black movement. So cyberbullying, it can be done, but of course it takes a lot of
effort,
people, energy, awareness.
The cyberbullying end when remove yourself from the screen. Would you say that if you distance yourself from technology, if you distance yourself from social media, does it end in that context?
No, it doesn't. You might even leave social media, but then people will continue doing trash talk online about you if they want.
And it will come to you. You know that impression where everyone is on the joke except you?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Even if you're not online, someone else will be, and they'll come and they'll tell you about it.
An anti-fan page or something.
I feel like one of the only ways to stop this is, people should treat people how you want to be treated. Yeah. So before you say anything, just try to picture, if someone comes to me or in the internet, if they say these things about me, will I be happy or will I just accept it? People should think twice before saying stuff. And also, for those sensitive people, I think that, I feel like everyone should take things with a grain of salt. Try not to let the comments on social media affect you too much. Yeah, it can affect you, and you have the right to feel hurt and all, but just keep in mind that, it's just social media, it's not life. There's a real life out there. Don't let it affect you too much.
One more point is that why other people say bad things, because one of the reasons is because they envy or I don't know. So that the solution to solve this problem will be parents and teachers have to teach their kids well since young, so that there will be no bad thoughts about others. Because when we have to express ourselves, we just post, right? We didn't expect some people also don't like, and then when they don't like, right, they'll just post bad comments. So this problem we have to focus on those who said that bad comments. So they need to have good education, I think.
Do you think that when our generation finally gets to pass on the baton to the smaller one, would cyberbullying become a problem of the past? Would we be more aware of what we say to each other online and respect each other more in that sense?
They may face different problems since
times will change.
Yeah, cyberbullying is a now problem. Last time it used to be bullying face to face. Now it changed to cyberbullying. It's like it changes with time. Who knows, in the future it could be hologram bullying or something. Those kind of things may happen.
Yes. Before we end this session, like a round question, do you think you should be some legal, how we have a legal age for marriage license? Do you think we should have a legal age before we are allowed free speech or something?
Allow social media accounts.
Or
social media accounts.
Because there actually was, I think, it was 18, but I don't think anyone cares.
No one cares. Everyone lies about
their
age.
age. Have Facebook accounts. I personally think yes, you should have an age limit.
I feel like in order to actually make that happen, because people can lie their age, can fake their name and age anytime. So maybe make the whole process like a
more in-person kind of?
Sort of. So you would have to, they would have to really verify your age before.
Like for your NewMed library account, you have to first go in person and then they'll give you the online access, right?
I guess so, but that's complicated.
There's also a question of confidentiality, which we will not go in today. So moving on, CK, what do you think?
But I think if you still have age limits, right, doesn't mean that those who are already mature, they won't say any bad comments, right?
So then we can have moderation then.
So education and culture also matters, I think.
It's like the issue in Malaysia about the voting age. Vote above 18 or vote above 21. So the debate where people above 21 aren't necessarily matured to give their vote.
Then we need online police.
People above 18 can be as mature. But in this sense, at the end of the day, it can boil down to ourselves, where maybe the boundaries that we can set is, as long as our job, our personal lives, our health isn't affected, then we can take the haters, the hate comments with a grain of salt.
So that's everyone, I think. So that is all for today's session, our first podcast. I do hope you enjoyed tuning in. So do tune in next week for our second session. Thank you very much. This is the second opinion for you. Bye.